tailgate. JT from home today. Yes, from the mean streets of Summerlin. After I walked through the door last night at 2:30 in the morning. Wow, long flight back from Houston. Houston's farther than you think. Goodbye, Houston. It was okay. Game was fun. Oh, my God, I got a lot to tell you. Here over the next 2 hours, follow us live on X at JT The Brick. I am streaming on YouTube where you're in my home. You're actually in my guest room. My studio is under construction. Big announcement coming up with my home studio and what we're doing there for all of our bricklayers on YouTube. JT The Brick on YouTube, where I feel good today. It's a Modelo Friday. Say it with me, Modelo, Modelo, Modelo. Yes, I will reward myself with a bucket of Modelos here in 2 hours. And I can't wait to have a Modelo. I saw Raider fans at NRG Stadium in Houston drinking Modelos. You know, those big, tall boys? What are those called, 20-ouncers? I met a nice couple, a husband and wife, big listeners to the show. They watched the show. And they were going to hand me down a Modelo on the sidelines. I said, no. I can't drink a Modelo during the game. But they offered. Good to see Raider Nation on the road. We got a lot to cover today. So if you want to get in, start dialing. We'll get you up at 702-365-9200. And I want your reaction to what you saw last night in Houston. It was the Raiders' only nationally televised game of the year, which is very unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's a slap in the face. But there's not a lot for me to fight for. What do you want me to do? Say, you want me to stand outside the NFL offices on Park Avenue and ask Roger to give us 2 national games when Raider Nation only won 3 games last year and had the number 1 pick? You would have thought, for all the ass-kissing the networks are doing for Fernando, that they'd want to give us some games. But maybe they realized that Fernando was not going to start this year, not going to start at all. And this is something really interesting now. When you take a look at this, that, hey, man, the networks didn't believe in the Raiders, even with Fernando, number 1 overall. They didn't give us a national game. They gave us a game last night. And it was great. I didn't say hi, but I bumped into Troy Aikman, Jason Kelsey. You know, the Monday Night Football crew was there. It was packed on the sidelines pregame. And it had the feel of a Monday Night Football game on a Thursday night preseason. And it was a real nice test run for ABC, ESPN. They're going to have the Super Bowl this year. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman and that team will be hosting the Super Bowl broadcast. So it's a big year for them. But let's get into the game. Let's get into what you saw, and let's get into some raw, honest opinions. So I flew in with the team, flew out with the team, and got in there on Monday. And I got a chance to see a lot, but nothing earth-shattering. Nothing like, oh, my God, I saw something I couldn't wait to tell you. I saw Tom Brady talking to Robbie Leonard for an extended period of time. I saw Mark Davis, the other owner, Egon Durbin. I saw, Max Crosby not playing the game, but I spent a little bit of time with Max. We had a good conversation on James Harden. I'll get to that next hour. I saw Aiden O'Connell after the game. We had a nice moment together. Really happy for Aiden. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about Aiden O'Connell. He made a lot of money last night. As the great philosopher Randy Moss once said, straight cash homie. He made money last night on that drive. I don't know where Aiden's going to end up, but it's probably not going to be here because it's Fernando's team. This is Fernando Mendoza's team, hopefully for over a decade. So there's not a spot for Aiden if he wants to be a backup. There'll be a spot for him here maybe. If Kirk Cousins is only here for a year, I don't know. But Aiden O'Connell made cash last night because there were several teams in the NFL that saw him go 98 yards. And again, he's playing with the threes. He's going up against the 2s and 3s. But Aiden O'Connell was fabulous doing what he does. Composed. A lot of teams need an Aiden O'Connell. So congratulations to Aiden and his wife because he made cash last night, either here in Las Vegas or somewhere else along the way. And, yeah, people talk about his trade value. We always knew he had good trade value. Aiden O'Connell should be the starting quarterback today for the New York Jets over Geno Smith or the Arizona Cardinals over Jacoby Brissett. Period. You can debate right now today that Aiden O'Connell is better than Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. You can. I mean, that's a fair conversation. But Aiden O'Connell has been really classy with the time that he spent here. Man, I don't know of anybody who's had more coaches than Aiden O'Connell. Do you? Anybody? Can you name anybody who's had more coaches, not only head coaches, offensive coordinators, quarterback coaches, and offensive assistants than Aiden O'Connell? You can't. You can't name one quarterback in the league who's had more coaches than Aiden O'Connell, and how has he handled it? Brilliantly. Always there, not in the media, not complaining, in the quarterback room preparing to play. It beat Kansas City in Kansas City. So he looked good yesterday, and hopefully he gets rewarded for that, whatever happens. But a couple of things that are going through my head, because I didn't get much sleep last night. My wife, when I got home, my wife was packing because she left today to go visit her parents in Illinois. Her parents are in their mid-80s like my parents, so she checks in on them. So I saw my wife for like 20 minutes last night before I went to bed, and I didn't get much sleep, and I got up today. We did some work here, and I just want to rip. I want to rip here for the next 2 hours and hear from people and get your opinion. So the overall grade or what the experience was in Houston was pretty good. It was pretty good. The Raiders, and there was an injury last night that I'll get to, but when you look at the stars and the people that are going to win games for the Raiders, everybody came off that trip pretty good, which is number one. The most important thing that I need to share with Raider Nation was that was a lot of work that was done with the Raiders coaching staff, the team, going up against Houston in the joint practice. And then I saw a lot of things behind the scenes that I've been seeing for close to 30 years that I really care about, how the team travels. Remember, this was the first ever road trip for Klint Kubiak as the head coach. First time he ever got on the plane, team buses, the commute, coming back at night, addressing the team after the victory. His first time. And congratulations to Coach Kubiak. That was his first win as an NFL coach. Now, it was a preseason game. It meant a lot. It meant a lot to him because his dad coached there, and he grew up spending years of his life there. That was a big deal. That was a really important deal. You saw the emotion of Klint Kubiak after the game. That meant a lot to him. He was proud of his players. And that's what I'm going to talk about mostly. On this show, I bring up the misery index. And the misery index the last couple of years has been at a 9 or a 10. Everybody's bleeping miserable. The fans are miserable. Like everything's a bleeping complaint. And I said, we will not do that in the summer, especially on a Modelo Friday in August. This is the summer. I could give a crap that the preseason has started. This is my summer, man. I only get the summer, and then we go full balls out in September, and we don't come up for air till after the Super Bowl. So it's still the summer. Get in the pool, have your cervezas, go out to dinner, go to the lake, go to the beach, get away one more time. This is the summer. I take that seriously. So the misery index is turned off. It's not even on. Misery index isn't like at a 5 or a 4. I have the machine turned off. And what I thought last night was the game started. It was an absolute dumpster fire. Dumpster fire. I did the pregame show with Matt Millen. Oh, my God, pinch myself. Oh, my God. You know what I think of Matt Millen. Forget about him winning 4 Super Bowls. He's a broadcast legend. So Matt and I did the pregame. Q did the post. Great job as always. And so the game starts, C.J. Stroud and the ones play. Well, where are our ones? Well, wait a second. We're not playing our ones? We're the worst team in football. No, we're not playing our ones. Okay. Not playing Max? Not playing our ones. All right. So what do? They had a 3rd and 11 at midfield. They picked up a first down. The Raiders needed to get off the field. I opened up my phone in my notes. I'm always on my notes. And I said, bad move there. I think it was on Darian Porter. An out route, first down, move the chains. C.J. Stroud goes downfield. They get a touchdown. They're up 7-0. And then here is the pick 6, which I didn't think was the end of the world. But at the time, this was not good. Fernando Mendoza, who started the game, rightfully so,
throws his first interception, and it was a big one, an 80-yard pick six.
Mendoza at the Texans 25 with a play fake. Backpedaling, fires over the middle. Intercepted! Wade Woodhouse for the Texans across midfield, far sideline 40. Mendoza giving chase at the 30. Woodhouse to the 10, beats Mendoza. It's a pick six for Houston.
All right, so that was a big deal. Jason Horowitz on the call. I would have been on the call, but that was a national game, and Jason would have been on TV. But that's the way they do it there, and that was a pick six. And when we saw this overall, I said to myself, 14-0. This is ugly. Right at that point in time, I'm thinking 30-6. I'm thinking 34-14. Oh boy, here we go. Raider fans are going to lose their bleeping mind. I'm going to be pissed off. I got to deal with this on my Modelo Friday when I get home. I don't want to deal with this crap. Okay, I don't want to deal with this today. I have to do it. It's my job. I love my job. And I kind of wasn't into spending my Friday in August dealing with Raider Nation screaming about the Raiders getting blown out in Houston. So you get to halftime. Was Mendoza going to come out and play? Probably not. They're going to go with Aiden O'Connell. The second half of that game, the Las Vegas Raiders, led by Klint Kubiak and John Spytek, busted their ass to get back into that game. They busted their ass down 17-0 with their backups, and one of the storylines that I like is when those guys are trying to make the team and they're playing every play like it's the last play of their life, because it might be the last play of their life. They played their ass off. They played their ass off to get back into the game. They got back into the game. So with about 6 or 7 minutes to go in the game, I grab my backpack. I go down. I don't think the Raiders are going to win. I hope they're not going to win. The game's over. They're going to lose the game, but they played hard in the second half. And I get in the elevator and I go down to the locker room. I grab my suitcase out of the locker room, and I'm waiting there, and there's about 5 or 6 guys and a gal who are working for the Raiders, and they have all the equipment and all the video for Silver and Black Productions. And we're looking at this big TV monitor, and the Raiders are coming back. And Aiden O'Connell's got the ball at the 2-yard line. Dink and dunk, dink and dunk, dink and dunk. Oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a minute. Get out of bounds, clock it, get out of bounds. Throw all the way to the goal line. Then here's the Aiden O'Connell sneak, which was Big Aiden. I'm a big believer of 6-foot-plus guys, quarterback sneaking it, not handing it off 7 yards deep. We've been terrible at that. We've had the ball at the goal line, and we've lined up guys 7 yards deep for a handoff, and they get tattooed for a 4-yard loss. Let Aiden O'Connell go win this game. Here's how it sounded.
They're heading towards the line with 22 seconds. O'Connell, he is at the line of scrimmage. He takes the snap. He's trying to push it into the end zone. He gets the push. Oh, if he's not there, they got to unpile. No signal yet. No signal. There it is. Touchdown Raiders. With 9 seconds on the clock, the tush push for AOC. And the Raiders march down the field 96 yards to try and win it here in Houston.
All right, why was Jason Horowitz and Kirk Morrison so ecstatic? Why? Because they work on the team broadcast. They're calling the game, man. They want to win the game. As I tweeted out, you play to win the game. High school football, 7-on-7 flag, college football, you play to win. The Raiders came back and won that game. So I'm not planting my flag today saying greatest win. I know it's a preseason win, but they got to win in a game where they could have packed it in. Now, they're not going to pack it in because you got a brand new coach who's all ball. And if you're packing it in, he's going to see you. He's going to watch you pack it in. He's going to see your body language. Did you see the body language of the Raider players on the sideline? Mendoza, Max Crosby, Kirk Cousins, players that I still couldn't point out. If they came to my house today and they came and knocked on the door and said, JT, I'm blank from the Raiders, I don't even know who some of these players are. Never met them. They wanted to win that game, and they played their ass off to win that game. And Houston looked on in shock. They were like all sitting around. Did you see that video? D'Amico Ryans and everyone's looking around going like, what the hell just happened? So that's Houston, one of the best defenses in football, not their starters, not even their twos. Some of their twos. That's the threes versus the threes. Raiders go win the game. Incredible. So I'm in the tunnel, and please go look at it because it's getting good engagement. On my Instagram, JT the Brick LV, Twitter, JT the Brick. I got my phone as they're coming off the field. Max Crosby screaming. John Spytek, high fives. Klint Kubiak waiting outside the locker, high-fiving, and then Aiden O'Connell comes up and he gives him a big hug. Aiden O'Connell delivered Klint Kubiak his first ever professional head coaching win. Again, it's a preseason. Miami's going to count more, but you understand what I'm talking about. So I'm not here pounding my chest saying, man, what a great win. Oh, my God, it was one of the great moments of my career. But I will tell you, many people here, man, I care about all of you, even the trolls. I care about you. I can tell you what I saw, which you didn't see, because if you weren't there and you weren't there with me, there was genuine happiness and excitement for this team for the way they fought and the way they came together as a team. It was a big moment. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but it was a big moment, and everybody was in a good mood. So here's what should have happened, or probably would have happened. Raiders don't go 96, 98 yards. They don't score. They lose the game. Everybody comes back. You know what they look like when they come off the field and down the tunnel? Head down, not a peep out of one of them. Nobody saying a word. I've been there. They just walk into the locker. The coach shuts the door. The coach gives a speech. Hey, man, we lost. Good effort. We'll see you back in Vegas. We got a lot of work to do. We got to clean this thing up. And everybody puts their heads down, runs to the showers, and tries to get on the bus and get the hell out of Houston. It was just the opposite. I'm in the locker room. They got a giant speaker. They're playing music. They're all happy. They're all high-fiving each other. That's what life is all about. Life is not a preseason game. Every day of your life should be the Super Bowl. But there are days where you got to get a little bit of good out of it. You got to wake up in the morning and not be miserable. The stock market's down. Hey, I got problems. I got debt on my credit card. Hey, someone in my family's sick, right? Oh, my God, I got 2 jobs. I got to get to my second job. Those are the moments I don't see enough of recently with this team. I saw it last night around 11 o'clock at night, midnight, Houston time, and it was freaking great. It was great to see people who make a living playing football win a game. Preseason for sure. How many times have I said that? 5? But that's what they get paid to do. And the last point I wanted to make on the game, there are going to be players on Houston and the Raiders who never play a down in the NFL. They will not make the team. They will not make the practice squad. They will not get picked up by another team. Fact, not fiction. That's going to be their moment. That's going to be the moment that they're going to say, yeah, I played for the Raiders, and we won in Houston, and I was in the locker room with Fernando Mendoza as a rookie and Max Crosby, and we won that game. There's going to be players that remember that. And I just tell you to look at it that way. Treat the moment like it is. And then when the games really count, then it's going to be life or death. Then it's going to be who's making a living, who's not doing their job. But as we wrap up the month of August, here it's August 21st, enjoy what happened last night because it was really cool to see them win. I've been to a lot of games in my almost 30 years with the team, a lot of them. I never saw a game like that. I'm dead serious. Dead serious. I've never seen a game like that. They're down 14-0 on an 80-yard pick six, and then they go the length of the field and win with 9 seconds to go. You're a Raider fan. You know more than me. You tell me a game like that. Preseason or regular season. That was a very rare game last night. You do not see games like that. And if you're a gambler, oh my God, if you're a gambler and you bet on the Raiders outright to win, I mean, I know you can't bet a lot on a preseason football game, but I think you probably enjoyed that if you bet on the Raiders to win. I had a great time. Really enjoyed it. You know, wait on the bus, get on the team plane, Tried to get some sleep, didn't get some sleep. Guys are pulling out of the parking lot at 2 a.m. to go home to their families. And everybody who has a wife or children or family that went home, or if they went back to the M Resort, proud partner of the show, they were in a good mood. Now, I don't know how good of a mood they should be in because they got hammered right out of the gate. So I just gave you some fluff. I just gave you some pretty stuff. Okay, they won the game. It was great. Everybody hugs overall. There's some things we got to talk about. Number one, got to tackle better. Number two, we got to cover. We got to cover people better in the secondary, or we got to go find other guys from other teams who can cover. So let me get that out of the way. If you want to win like I want to win, I don't want to rebuild. I don't want this thing to take 3-4 years. If you want guys to cover, you might have to go find them right now. And who would that be? I talked about it with Matt Millen. I talked about it with Levi Edwards. You got to find one of the players, cornerbacks on Houston. Just an example. I'm not saying has to be Houston. You got to find a guy on the Houston Texans or the Seattle Seahawks. They got some banged up guys. The Rams, maybe the Patriots. They got Christian Gonzalez. You're not getting him. Raiders got to find a player who's going to get cut because of competition or money, who's better than everybody the Raiders have other than Eric Stokes. Now, you might want to develop Darian Porter. Good. Well, if Darian Porter gives up a 3rd and 11 in the fourth quarter and we lose the game, I got to take your freaking phone call on why he gave up that. I like Darian Porter. He's a former wide receiver converted into cornerback. That good size. Really good size. But the Raiders might need to go out and get some players from other teams that they're capable of getting. You can go get those guys. They're going to be available. They're going to get cut. And they're better than the Raider players currently on the roster. Not all of them, but some of them. So remember, with no Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, right, Kirk Cousins, Ashton Genty, it's a completely different team. Now that Mike Washington Jr., Mike Washington Jr., that guy can run. Oh, he's no secret anymore. Joe Buck was talking about that guy. That guy can play. He's going to be unbelievable. If he comes into the game and only gets 4 carries because Ashton Genty is getting 23, you think he's going to have fresh legs in the fourth quarter to move the chains? He can play. And then the wide receiver situation is an issue. It's a bit of an issue. I mean, the Raiders don't have a 1. Jalen Naylor, again, he could pop from time to time. Jack Besh didn't have the game he had the first game. As Klint Kubiak said, they couldn't find him. They couldn't get him the ball. And then you look at Cedric Jackson, who can play. And it's going to be fun. Like this time next week, we'll be talking about the roster, like who's fighting to make the team in the last game. That's always really good radio to find out what the last roster is going to be. But remember, I am not the show of the practice squad. I am not the podcast of the practice squad. I like the guys on the practice squad, but I ain't talking about them unless they get called up to play on Sundays. This is about the team and the guys who can win, but it's an overall team. And I saw that team last night behind the scenes, up close, and how they won that game. I'm really excited about what I saw last night. You should be too. 702-365-9200. 702-365-9200. I was okay with it last night. I'm not with pom-poms. Relax. I'm not going crazy. JT, you're a homer. I wasn't even going to say blank you. I want the team to win every game. I've never wavered from the Raiders wanting to win every game they play. They won last night. To me, as a football guy, it was really unique how they won the game. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I did not expect them to come back and win. They came back and win because Aiden O'Connell is arguably a starting quarterback in this league, and he carved up Houston. Carved them up when he had to. Ben in Denver, Start us off on this Modelo Friday, please, Ben.
Hey, JT, you're not a homer. You're the best, man. You have a good show, and you tell it how it is. But anyway, I'll start off. Congratulations to Coach Kubiak on his first win. I thought that was great. I think it was the one thing I didn't like is that I think Fernando was set up. It was almost like a setup, not for him to fail, but I mean for him not to get basically none of the old line starters. Nobody really started. I just think it's going according to plan, I guess, where he stumbled a little bit, even though he had some great throws. And so now it's like, okay, well, now we can start Kirk Cousins without the rumblings of, hey, well, Fernando looked good on the second game and the first game. So it's going according to plan, I think. So, but, I've heard today on some of the podcasts and some of the, people talking about Aiden O'Connell. And, I mean, we got to put that to rest. Aiden O'Connell is at best a third stringer or a practice squad guy. I mean, so anyway, JT, that's it. See what you think about it. Thanks.
Yeah, I disagree with you on Aiden O'Connell. I think Aiden O'Connell could be a starting quarterback in this league. So, no, I don't agree with you on Aiden O'Connell's a third-string guy or whatever. Aiden O'Connell can play. Ideally, is he a franchise quarterback? I don't know. He might be. He might turn out to be. I mean, look at Trent Dilfer. Look at Jeff Hostetler. Look at other guys all around the league. Some guys didn't get opportunity early in their career, and they turned out to be pretty good. I like Aiden O'Connell. I like people that I meet and I know. I've been trying to preach this to you as long as you've been listening to me. Don't judge people that you don't know. I mean, you can criticize them if they drop a pass or they do something stupid. I mean, Jermon McCoy getting that penalty, that wasn't smart. But judge the people you know. And I know Aiden O'Connell. I know him. He's a good guy. How do you not root for Aiden O'Connell when he gets the ball as the backup or the third string? You want him to do well. And he did really nice yesterday. I think he made a lot of money last night. Joe from Brooklyn. You've been waiting. Joe, go ahead, Joe. How are you?
What's up, JT? How's everything? Thanks for having me on. I'm not going to get too caught up on preseason, but listen, I would have liked Fernando to get in with the ones myself. I understand why the starting guys aren't in. I don't want any crazy injuries. I don't need our center getting hurt or Colton getting hurt or Genty. But I would like him to get some reps with the ones. Whether he gets to that practice, if he's getting them, great. But he definitely has to get them. Tokyo Toe, don't need to see any more from what I've seen. I don't even want him as an IPP player either. I mean, he tried. He's not good. Let's move on. The defense, like I said, it's going to be better. Tackling is an issue. The penalties were an issue. We have to clean that up a little bit. Listen, we're a young team. This is going to take time. Everything that Spytek has told us, he wants to build it the right way. We went from the oldest team last year with a bunch of veterans that were terrible to, one of the younger teams. Fernando's going to take his lumps. Let Kirk start off first month of the season. Let him, let him do his thing. Obviously, if the record's not good, let Fernando get in then. I want him to start this year sooner than later. I want him to get, his reps on film, Even he said it yesterday. It should have been a check down to Hayward even when he threw that interception. He's not going to do that again. He's smart enough to realize that. But other than that, I like the way the team, came out second half, and the 1-2 punch with Genty and Washington is going to be fun to watch this year. If the O-line could block for these guys, those two are going to be a lot to deal with. And maybe, when Fernando gets in, that's going to be the plan. Run those two, and then, you won't have to force things and, go crazy at the quarterback position. Get that run game going, get that O-line going, and that's it. Thanks, JT. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. I'm going to dive into the national media opinion coming up of Fernando Mendoza and what I was not comfortable saying on the pregame show, because the pregame show is different than this radio show. This radio show, I'm sitting with board shorts on. I'm going to jump in my pool during a commercial. This is different than doing the Raider pregame show. And believe me, Fernando was in a tough spot last night because the national media were going to rip him either way. Unless he played epic, they were going to rip him and said, oh, he played against the twos, not the ones. This was set up for him from the media perspective to fail. Not set up for him to fail from the Raiders. They're just getting him out there, getting him reps. But you knew once he threw that pick six, if he didn't bounce back as good as he did, they would have been carving him up on this Friday because, A, a lot of the media hate the Raiders. B, Mendoza's a superstar, and they would have been able to kind of pick at him, and it would have been an easy topic for a Friday. And a lot of people are going to take the easy road out. Raider Reggie, man. Raider Reggie, you got to go to this fantasy draft party at Circa Saturday night. Black Hole, they're going to be like 500 Raider fans at an open bar. You got to get down there, man.
That's tonight. Somebody asked me about it. They were asking me what I'm doing, but I didn't know if they meant tonight or next week. That's tonight?
No, it's tomorrow night. It's tomorrow night,
tomorrow
Saturday
night. Okay.
night
I'll
at
be
Circa.
there.
You should.
I'll
It's going to be
there.
a lot of Raider Nation. It's
And
going to be a
listen,
big event.
JT, I want you to know, man, I listen as much as I can, all that I can. I'm on a pretty strict diet with how I eat right now because of medical stuff. But while I'm doing it, and you taking back those Modelo's, I can't drink them, so I'm always cheering you on, brother. Have a Modelo on me today. Check it out, man. I'm going to keep it all positive. I'm not going crazy because they won. I am proud of them guys, second, third, fourth string guys, sticking it together. Even the defense, the offense, everybody hung in there because, the defense did let some plays get by them, but they kept the score down. In order for us to even have a chance, they had to keep them from scoring again. So I really love that. I'll leave it to my guy Raiders 66 on the history of the Raiders, but the Raiders have a whole bunch of those comeback games, man. That's ridiculous, but that was a great one. The two guys I got to talk about right now, and I've been having them on my mind for a while. Okay, Mike Washington Jr. At the draft, I have videotape of me reacting to us getting him, and I'm turning around looking at the fans, and nobody really reacted. And I'm like, they don't realize this dude is a beast. And now he's showing out, and I hope he rips it up this year. And another secret weapon that I'm noticing, Cian Sloan. That kid is a miniature Max Crosby. His motor is so crazy. And if it was not for him, that interception that Devin Lafayette picked off would not have happened. It was Cian Sloan putting the pressure on that QB, man. I love it. Raider Nation, stand up. Thanks for the information and confirmation. I will be out there tomorrow celebrating and hanging out with the rest of Raider Nation. Let's go.
From you. I'm late. I got to come back. The monologue brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. We got a lot of events coming up with Modelo. We got a lot of remotes coming up with Remy Martin. We're going to be out everywhere. And also brought to you by Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. Charles Woodson has a legacy as a football player, and now he has a great legacy with his Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. Go ask for it by name. Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, proud partner of our show.
Heading to the end zone, Brandon Johnson leaps and grabs. Oh, he's brought down at the 1-yard line. On the right hash mark, Brandon Johnson made the grab. The Raiders have plenty of time. They're heading towards the line with 22 seconds. O'Connell, he is at the line of scrimmage. He takes the snap. He's trying to push it into the end zone. He gets the push. Oh, if he's not there, they got to unpile. No signal yet. No signal. There it is. Touchdown. There it is.
Jason Horowitz, Kirk Morrison on the call. Jason's very good. Very good. When you're talking about a third string or a fifth or seventh wide receiver making a catch in the air like that, that is not easy to do. Great job by the gentleman who called the game. We're going to get to Klint Kubiak's press conference here in a little bit. Raider Nation Drinking Club, Thor, celebrating that preseason victory in Summerlin. Hello, Thor.
JT, what's happening, my brother? Definitely celebrating the victory. I don't really care about the preseason outcomes except for health, but it feels great to win a game. We went to the little black hole TNBC bar spotted PTs they had, watched the first half, then Ubered home, caught the second half. And we're out. Oh my God, we got a shot to win this game. And just to see the no quit, the heart, you gotta love that. You got to. Health is wealth, and youth is like if the youth that we have on this team can start learning how to win games, that can turn everything around, right? So that's why it's big. You want to learn how to win games, no matter who was in. I don't care. Second, these are NFL players or people who are, whatever it may be. These are players, and they're out there learning stuff. I love it. And Fernando is going to learn from mistakes. Hey, he threw a pick in a preseason game that went back the other way for 6. That doesn't matter. All that matters is he learns from that. I'm good with it, JT. And I'm happy. And trust me, I had a lot of Modelo's last night, and I'm going to have another few tonight. Let's go, baby. I'm just happy for a win, JT, and I can't wait for the regular season to start. Let's go.
Thank you, Thor. Good to hear from you. No, the interception, pick 6, a big deal. He made a bad decision. He could have checked out, could have thrown it out to the back. Whatever. He threw a pick 6. He deserves criticism for that. Of course he does. But a lot of people are just looking to comment on Fernando without watching. He should have been 10 for 16 or 10 for 15. There were a couple big drops on third down, drops where Fernando threw great passes. So he should have had 2 more completions. I thought he played okay, well. He didn't play great, and who cares? It's a second half of preseason football, but his composure was fantastic. Raiders 66 on a Friday. Thanks for checking in.
Hey, JT, isn't this poetic that it's, in your case, a Modelo Friday, and Modelo is known for fighting back and not quitting and being, just the heart and soul of everything? That's what this game was. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I was really disappointed, though, that first Houston drive. The tackling really was lacking, and especially on the touchdown run. I was like, oh, my God, you got to be kidding me. So we need to shore that up. The interception, hey, I think that I felt that Washington drifted a little bit in the zone defense. It should have stayed where he was. It would have been right on the money. But, after that pick, what did Fernando do? I think he completed his next 5 or 6 passes. So it was not a big deal to him. He just shoved it off like nothing. And that's the kind of kid he is. And that's what we love about him. But in the grand scheme of things, a preseason win is not a big deal. But the resilience, the heart that team showed, I mean, the big thing is that it is a preseason game, so no big deal. But these guys didn't quit. That's the thing. I think that goes back to their coach. That goes back to being a Raider. And that's what I like to take from this. They did not quit. They had no business winning that game, being down by 17 in a preseason game. They could have mailed it in, flown back home, and, let's reset for the 49ers. But they didn't quit. And the comeback, and Aiden showed, a lot of spunk there. I mean, he started off a little bit slow again, but when push came to shove, what was that winning drive? 90-some yards? That's no timeouts. That's what you want to see. And that's what I take away from, sure, we got stuff we got to clean up. We got stuff we got to get better at. But the heart of that team is what's going to drive them this year. And I was just so glad to see it. Thanks for the time, JT. Oh, and my buddy Reggie, I'm glad to hear that he is doing well. And JT, I don't know if you've heard it. I'm sure you have. But the song that he's got out about Fernando is really cool. I have play that as a bumper coming in. All right, take care. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, man. Good to hear from everyone. And remember, we have a new subscription for me on YouTube at JT the Brick, and we have a new Mendoza rant coming up if you're a new subscriber on YouTube. And I think you'll want to hear that. You'll want to see it. Go to JT the Brick YT on YouTube and be a subscriber. Couple of different opportunities there. Klint Kubiak spoke to the media coming off the win last night. Today, let's hear what he had to say.
Good morning, Coach. After getting a chance to review the film of the joint practice and the game, can you give us your assessment of those 2 days and the performance of Caleb Rogers, please?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm so glad we got to practice against them. That was really important for our team to spend that time in Houston and get some really good work against a different scheme and a really good coaching staff. Caleb Rogers in particular, he just needs to continue to get reps as a young player to improve. He has all the talent. that you're looking for. We just got to keep getting him better. I like how he works. I like the kind of teammate that he is, and he has a bright future ahead of him.
Hey, Clint, do you feel that there's any need for Max to get any reps during the preseason, or do you feel confident that he's going to be ready to go for week 1 if he doesn't have any?
I think all players need the reps. I'm not going to be giving him any, though.
Clint, lots been made about Kirk's veteran leadership with Fernando, but what can you say about Aiden in that regard?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we've said all offseason how much we value Aiden, and what a heck of a second half. He goes out and leads us to a 19-point half, and 2 90-plus yard drives in the fourth quarter. He did it with his teammates, but he was a big part of it, and was very happy for him.
Clint, you said last night that you weren't ready to name a starting quarterback. Just wondering, after looking at the film, if that's changed at all. And secondly, your young secondary felt like they took a step forward with Jamad, Traden Stukes, and Zeke Massis. If you could talk about the secondary and the young secondary players from last night.
Yeah, to the first question, I know I said it last night. I just don't think it ever benefits a player to know that they have a spot secured, and if there's always a little bit of uneasiness about that, that benefits the whole team, the player and the team. And as far as the secondary, overall as a defense, I thought we took a step forward last night. I think we got a lot of good work in the joint practice covering, some new guys. And, those guys need another game under their belt against San Francisco to continue to get better.
Coach, just evaluating the tape as well, what were some things that you believe, Fernando Mendoza can still improve on in his young career, from that game? But also, how would you say was his mentality and just the way that he approached things after the game, after you talked to him?
I think if you sat in our quarterback meeting the night before the game and listened to him go through his progressions and reads and adjustments, I was very impressed with how prepared he has made himself. That whole quarterback room, led by Coach Sullivan and Andrew, have done an excellent job of being prepared. I was pleased with watching the tape. I really like what he did on third down. We're only 1 of 5 on third down in the first half. However, we did drop the ball twice, and we threw one short of the sticks on a 3rd and long. He had really good ball placement on the first 3rd down of the game with a guy in his face. So in the critical downs, I thought he was playing his best. There are things that we must get corrected that will be addressed ASAP.
All right, a little bit of Klint Kubiak on the play from last night, as the Raiders have an off day today, a week from, this upcoming Thursday, the 49ers come to town. It's alumni weekend. We got a lot of cool stuff lined up for next week. When we come back, I'll wrap up this hour. Hour number 2, a lot more on the national media perception of Fernando Mendoza. And also, I really want to get into Aiden O'Connell and what Aiden was able to do. I thought he was fantastic in a tough spot. That's a tough spot for Aiden O'Connell. And he handled it well, like we expect him to. This is the flagship of the Raiders, brought to you by Local 872.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Takes the drop, hands it off to Washington, trying to follow the blockers, bounces off to the midfield, and he's into the secondary. Washington to the 30 and just tripped up at the Texans 25. Jalen Smith tracked him down to save a touchdown, but he bounced off for 32 yards.
Jason Horowitz on the call. JT back with you as we're wrapping up this hour. Q Myers will join us after the following hour coming back. And everybody else, thanks for following our social media at LV Sports Network and the new Raider Nation YouTube. If you want to go check that out, it's all there for you to subscribe. I thought the Raiders got a lot out of the trip to Houston. The star players, the future of this team, the elite players seem to all be healthy. Jackson Powers-Johnson, hopefully he has a good week getting back on the field, because we've been talking about the guard position and him fighting for that position going forward. And next hour, we'll get into the red meat on Mendoza and what some of the national media is saying. Klint Kubiak is not named a starter yet. We're all assuming, I'm assuming, it's going to be Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins didn't play last night. He didn't throw a pick six. Kirk Cousins got a lot more experience with this playbook with Fernando Mendoza. And all indications, all of it, is that Cousins will start week 1. But did he leave the door open or not? I mean, this is his style. He's a brand new head coach. He's not going to go into the bowels of Houston Stadium after a preseason game and name a starter. Okay? He's not going to do that. Will he do that in Vegas? Yeah. He'll do that after the Niner game at some point, where you have that little mini bye week after that. So there's a lot more going on. Also, next hour, I'll get into my conversation with Max about James Harden. Max Crosby was not happy with me for me going after James Harden, and he wanted to talk to me about it. And we talked about it. I'll get into that conversation coming up here in a little bit. So I hope everybody enjoyed that hour. We got a better hour, 2 coming up. And next week, it's Alumni Weekend, which is really close to my heart, as 300 alumni are coming in, many with a guest, and they'll be a part of a bunch of activations for the Raiders around town. And then they'll all be at the game Thursday night in the Winfield Club. So all your favorite alumni that can make it back will be here. And it will be a tremendous event for everybody who's in attendance. We'll all get into these injuries. There's a bunch of injuries around the NFL preseason, and that sucks. And there was a big injury last night. The Raiders all came out on the field. We'll touch on that and what that means to the Silver and Black. I think everything last night brought the Raiders together as a team. Every little thing brought them together as a team. And that's really important. That's really important going forward. You want to make sure that this team has moments to build on, really strong moments to build on. And I thought last night we saw a little bit of that. But, man, the national media, all they want to do is talk about Fernando Mendoza. And especially when Mendoza went back to Joe Buck and said, let Mr. Buck know. You know, that was good with Aikman and Buck. Fernando is must-see TV. Must-see TV. And that's all I can say. I don't know when he's going to play, but I'm excited. I'm excited for Fernando Mendoza. And I'm excited for all of our partners who have joined us for football season again. That's a big part of what I do. That's a lot of time with what I spend. And we'll thank all of our partners next hour, as we do on Friday. So hour number 2 coming up next. Clay Baker and I will get you through the weekend. Then Q Myers is going to come up, and we'll have that all scheduled in here. And then we'll get you ready for next week, which will be the Niners coming to town. Hey, don't sell your tickets to Niner fans. You know who I'm talking to. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. Give your tickets to Raider Dad. Raider Dad will take your tickets, and we can do that. And I want to know. And also, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. I want to thank Raising Cane's for sending me to Houston. I'm a Caniac. I love the box combo. Doesn't matter if it's in the drive-thru, order online on the app, all the great work they do in the community. I want to thank our proud partner, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, as they helped me get to Houston to host the show from there, to be with the Silver and Black. Hour number 2, our final hour of the week, coming up next. You Raider fans should be, I don't know, optimistic, isn't that the word? Maybe not excited for a preseason victory, but maybe optimistic about what's going to come next. Hour number 2 for the flagship of the Silver and Black, JT, at home today in Vegas.
JT, so I'm back from Houston, as I've been talking about, and wow, we got in at 2 in the morning last night, 2 in the morning, and I had to drive from deep Henderson to the mean streets of Summerlin, and I was listening to the radio, something I used to do. I used to do overnight radio, and I was listening to a guy on one of the channels. I won't mention his name because he's young. He wasn't good. Wasn't great. He might have been okay. And it was the first reaction that I got from the Raiders and Mendoza. So imagine me driving on the 15 to the 215 interchange. I got about a 20 to 25 minute drive home. No cars in front of me. And I'm getting about 15, 20 minutes of the first Mendoza reaction. And there was smoke coming out of my ears, because I knew exactly what I was going to hear, and I knew it was coming, and I knew it was going to be, he took a step back. He wasn't as good as the first game. some guy who wasn't at the game, he watched on TV. Not everybody could be at the game in Houston like I was. There were two obvious drops that would have took Mendoza to 10 of 15, pretty good. The pick six, it's a pick six. I'm not here to defend it. Matter of fact, it's an 80-yard pick six. I don't think I've seen that in quite some time. So that was interesting there. And then Mendoza, after that, bounced back and played well, threw some nice passes like he's expected to. And then I woke up this morning and turned on a couple of the shows that I watch, and it was all Mendoza fish food. You know, when you drop fish food into a goldfish tank and all the goldfish come running up and start gobbling it away, I knew that was going to happen. We are going to overreact to Fernando Mendoza. So what I told everybody, and I knew this, and I could not say this on the pregame show. And you might be saying, what is he talking about? I hosted the pregame show with four-time Super Bowl champ Matt Millen. Pretty damn cool. So when I'm doing that with Matt Millen, and I do it every week with Eric Allen during the season, Matt Millen's different. EA is spectacular, right? EA is just unbelievable. But Matt Millen is broadcasting royalty because of his career at CBS and Fox. Royalty. So when he comes on the radio, not TV, not even a live stream, he's just on the radio, my game elevates because I'm talking to Matt Millen. And I couldn't say this on the pregame show because it wasn't the right platform. There are different platforms. A YouTube live stream, that's not on radio. A YouTube live stream, which is also on my radio show. Radio only. Me going on a radio show as a guest. Whatever it is, there's multiple platforms that I'm fortunate enough to be on. When I'm on the Raiders Compass Media pregame show, I'm not hanging up on callers. I'm not screaming. I'm not doing what I traditionally do at times on radio. It's way more buttoned up. And I was dying to say to Matt Millen, but I didn't. Fernando's in a no-win situation last night. He cannot win last night. And here's why. If Fernando's playing the number one defense of the Texans, he's in trouble. Those guys are just freaks. It's the best defense in football. So Fernando was not going to play the number one defense. He was going to play the number two defense of the Texans, which is arguably better than the Raiders' number one defense. Everybody hear that? Houston's so good that their third-string defense is better than some defenses in the league. So if Fernando played well, the media reaction would have been on Friday, oh, well, he went up against the twos. Right? Oh, he went up against the twos. He played well, but he went up against the twos. But the key was Fernando wasn't playing with the ones, wasn't playing with Colt Miller and Brock Bowers, and Jackson Powers-Johnson wasn't suited up, to play. He wasn't going to play in the game, right? So he wasn't playing with the ones. So how's he going to play at his best if he's not playing with the best football players? He was in a situation where he couldn't win. So I overall thought Fernando played pretty well. He handled the pressure good. He checked down when he had to. He threw a couple of bullets like he does. But the national media didn't watch the game. That's the point I'm getting to. The national media, half of these national media hosts don't even watch sports. They literally don't watch sports. They have a 3-hour pre-show meeting with producers who watched the game, did the cut-up of the highlights, and told the host what they missed. Now, that's inside. You want some inside radio information? That's inside radio information. Okay? I don't wake up in the morning and call a producer and say, what did I miss last night? Did you see it? Did Ohtani hit a home run or not? Did something happen? Did someone hit a game winner? Did Steph Curry score 40? I'm watching sports 24/7 or consuming it when I watch SportsCenter or shows. So before I get on the radio, I know what I'm doing. So I was with the Raiders for 4 days in Houston, Monday through late Thursday night, watched Fernando practice, watched Fernando do podium sessions, and watched him play in the game. I thought he did okay. But he was in a no-win situation. He flat out, no matter what happened, unless he threw for 300 yards in the first half and 3 touchdowns, there was going to be open criticism on Fernando, And you're seeing it before I came on the radio today, and you're going to hear it afterwards because it's August. No one has anything to talk about. And Fernando Mendoza is definitely the savior of the Raiders. So going through all of this and seeing what happened, I knew exactly what I was going to see. And I pretty much saw it. I didn't expect the pick six. Don't get me wrong. I didn't expect that pick six at all. But what I expected was Fernando to have a little bit of a bumpy game because he was playing Houston. They're well coached. They have elite defensive players who didn't start and very good defensive players who are out there. And I figured I would have even guessed he'd thrown an interception. I never would have guessed he would have thrown a pick six. You can't guess that. But if you would have told me Fernando threw an interception, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But the Raiders did a nice job protecting him. And Klint Kubiak did a really nice job calling plays. I want to get into that for a moment, too, because Klint Kubiak is fantastic in regards to his demeanor on the sideline. And I've seen a lot of play callers over my years, John Gruden, Josh McDaniels, go down the list, Norvell Turner. Norv Turner is one of the greatest play callers of all time. Troy Aikman spent 2/3 of his Hall of Fame speech, which I was at, not talking about Jimmy Johnson, not talking about Oklahoma and UCLA. He talked about Norv Turner and how great he was. He was a Raiders coach and play caller. Kubiak is different. He is all ball. He is focused. He is cerebral. There's no throwing paper in the air. There's no marching down the sidelines, barking at people. He does it differently. You can tell. I keep using the movie The Beautiful Mind with Fernando and with Kubiak. Kubiak's looking at his play sheet, and last night, not calling the plays. How about that? Not calling the plays, but in charge of the play caller and in charge of the demeanor of the offense as they're going up and down the field and playing. So that was a huge step for Fernando Mendoza. It wasn't perfect. What do you want to do? Give him a B minus? Okay, give him a C plus. Who gives a crap? But the national media is going to focus on Fernando for one more week. I don't know who's going to play against the 49ers next Thursday. If the starters are going to play, I'd play Kirk Cousins. I think he needs to work. I think he needs the chemistry with Tyler Linderbaum and Colt Miller. Doesn't everybody agree with me on that? I think that Kirk Cousins, if he wants to beat the Dolphins, should get some work in at Allegiant Stadium, his home stadium going forward with the ones. That's what I believe, but I don't know what's going to happen in that game. So Fernando, not outstanding, not very good. Good. But he didn't get hurt. He didn't get hurt. That was the key. That Houston got spooked. They got spooked because they were in a situation where they did not want to play their starters because they lost their number 2 wide receiver at the joint practice and they were checked out. If the Houston Texans last night lost one of their top 10 players after losing a top 10 player, everybody in Houston would have been saying, sky is falling, their season's over. And this Houston team is a team that I think is as good as the Buffalo Bills. And I have the Bills and Houston as the top 2 teams. Now, you could say, why not Denver? Denver's got a great defense and a very good offensive line. I'm not a believer in Bo Nix. Bo Nix played well last year. He's going to regress. What did you say? I'll say it again. He's going to regress. He's not going to win all those fourth quarter games. He's not. He played really average in most of the games, made a couple of big passes in the fourth quarter, which he did, to win games. That ain't happening this year at the level it happened last year. So when I look at the AFC, there's a lot of talk this week about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow told everyone in Cincinnati, this is it. It's do or die. And everybody's predicting this is Joe Burrow's final season if Cincinnati doesn't step up and win. It's a good topic. It actually really is. I love when quarterbacks call out an organization, call out a fan base, or anybody and say, we got to win. We ain't screwing around anymore. We have got to win this year. And Joe Burrow's doing that, I believe, to set the tone to leave if the organization, which is the cheapest organization, not only in the NFL, but maybe in professional sports, they're the worst. Mike Brown is the worst. So Joe Burrow's putting the whole organization on blast by saying, if we don't do it this year, wink, wink, kind of expect me to try to get out of here the way Matthew Stafford got out of Detroit, another awful organization that's never won. And Stafford went to the Rams, and the rest is history. Stafford was a great player with the Lions. He's going into the Hall of Fame as a Ram, okay, because of the Super Bowl, the MVP, and what they've been able to do. And the same could be said with the Cleveland Browns, right? Cleveland hasn't won since Jim Brown. Since Jim Brown. I'm looking at a autographed jersey from Jim Brown, one of my prized possessions in my life. They've never won since Jim Brown left. They won a couple playoff games, but they haven't won a Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield got out of there. Look at him in Tampa now. Tampa didn't give him a contract extension, the one he wanted, and he put Tampa on blast. You don't want to negotiate with me? You don't want to give me 50-plus million? Fine. We're not talking during the season. We're not negotiating anymore. We're done. And he put Tampa on blast also. So back to Fernando. This is what we're going to see with him. But what no one else is talking about is that once the season starts, if Kirk Cousins is the starter, which I expect he will be, even though Coach Kubiak, I stood right 10 feet away from him late last night in Houston when he was asked about his starter, and he wants everybody to be competitive. No, he did not slam the podium and say, Kirk Cousins is my starter. But we all expect Kirk Cousins to be the starter. We all do. And then you're not going to hear a peep out of Fernando. Fernando's not going to get invited to the podium. He's not going to be speaking. Backup quarterbacks do not speak during the regular season at all. Nothing. So he's going to go away for a while. And the national media is only going to have video of him on the sideline with the tablet, kind of encouraging his teammates, because he's not going to play until Kirk Cousins either loses games, hope he doesn't get banged up and dinged, and that's the only time you'll see Fernando. So everybody is bottom feeding now for any content that they can get on Fernando Mendoza. Fortunately, here at Raider Nation Radio, we got your Fernando content. We're seeing him in the building. We're talking to him in the building. I was next to him at the Omelet Bar at the hotel at the JW Marriott. Shook my hand as he's waiting for his eggs to be prepared. The guy is brilliant. He's one of the most polite, unique people ever. And before we come back, let me remind everybody again, this is super important because sometimes you take it out on me, which is fine. And I don't care as much as I did 5, 10, 15 years ago. I don't. But, I care, but I don't care as much. And take it out on me when they lose. That's what some people do. I'm cool with it. Part of the job description. Leave Fernando alone and protect him. These other fan bases want him out. Okay? I don't care if you want the analogy of movies, mob movies, war movies, whatever you want to do. What do they want to do in those movies? They want to take out the other side, the power of the other organized crime family, the general of the other army. They want to take them out. The Broncos, the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Chargers, everybody is rooting against Fernando who root against the Raiders. Do you understand what I said? So Fernando shouldn't be taking any shrapnel from a Raider fan for a preseason game. So if I look at my comments and Fernando's warming up and someone in the comments says, who cares about warm-ups? These are some of the Neanderthal idiots that I have to deal with. Okay, that's my problem, not yours. But my point is, embrace Fernando like you'd embrace the entire team, because the national media and other media are going to take any shot at him that they possibly can. Anything they can do, they're going to do, because Fernando's one of us, Raider Nation, and he's not one of them. And there's a lot of fans around sports now, Indiana football fans, women who watch football that make up a big number, and they love this kid. They're going to buy his jersey and become Raider fans. And let me end it on this point because I think it's really important. Remember how many fans became Chief fans because of Taylor Swift? Remember that? Taylor Swift, all of a sudden, she didn't bring thousands of fans to the Chiefs. She brought millions of fans to Kansas City who couldn't even tell you the difference between a football and a basketball. Well, Fernando, I'm not comparing to Taylor Swift, but it's going to sound like it for a second. Follow me. Fernando's going to bring so many fans to the Raiders because they love him, his demeanor, his politeness, his gratitude, his zen, and the most important thing, his great talent and ability. And now he has to have the ability to win. I love the comparison of Fernando Mendoza to Jim Plunkett. The comparison is simple. Heisman Trophy winners. Okay, you want to make the Latino connection, you can go ahead and do it. Jim Plunkett was beaten, battered, and bruised. Jim Plunkett had non-believers who thought he was done. And his final chapter with the Raiders is one of the greatest final chapters of all time. Two-time Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP. But Rookie of the Year, which Fernando can't win. He cannot win the Rookie of the Year if he doesn't start. Let me repeat, Fernando will not have the trophy that Plunkett has, Rookie of the Year, and Raider Nation can live with that. Hopefully, Fernando's not the comeback player of the year, which means he would have had to been injured and hit rock bottom and come back and be great. I don't want to see him win that award. But Fernando Mendoza can win championships for the Raiders. And we only have 2 halves of football in the preseason to judge him. So get behind him. He's going to go away for a little bit. He's not going away from the Raiders and Klint Kubiak and Mike Sullivan and Janoko and all the coaches, but he's going to go away for a while from First Take and all the other shows, McAfee, that have been talking about him constantly, because when the season starts in a couple of weeks and Kirk Cousins is playing quarterback, there's not going to be much Fernando talk until he plays, and I don't know when he's going to play. We're thanking all of our proud partners as they sent me to Houston. Fabulous job. Hey, Roger over at Steiner's Pub. What a great connection for us. Roger's amazing. Roger's got multiple locations. I'm always at the one on Buffalo. Some of the best food. Notice I didn't say pub food. No, some of the best food I've ever had in Vegas is at Steiner's. And when I go to an Aviators game, I look up, all I do, I get my cup, I get my cerveza, and I look there, and it's a Steiner's cup. I got about 40 of them in my cabinet. We welcome Roger and Steiner's to Raider Nation Radio, proud partner of the Silver and Black as we continue. And I'm going to thank all of our partners the rest of the way as we continue. Not much sleep last night, but nice to fly with the team to and from Houston and have a couple of good days in depth with the Raiders. This is Raider Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
JT, as we are back here, hour number 2, my final hour of the week here on the flagship of the Silver and Black. Raider Nation Radio, straight off H-Town in Houston. Couple of things on Houston. Let me get this out of the way. Houston was very gracious. The people of Houston are fantastic. Texas hospitality at its best. Everyone I met there, from the valet at the hotel to the men and women who were preparing the food, serving the food, unbelievable, nice people, to the people at the stadium, NRG Stadium. I'm asking what elevator I take here. Everything is courteous and nice. Nice people in Houston. But Houston is an urban sprawl. I lived in L.A., outside of L.A. for 10 years. I'm from New York, Long Island, one of the largest populated spots in the world. I know what urban sprawl looks like. Houston is sprawl, man. I mean, coming from the stadium to the airport last night, my buddy Dave, who I was sitting next to on the bus, is like, are we going to Dallas? With a police escort. We got a police escort at midnight, and it was like 35 minutes to the airport from the stadium. Wow, that's a big place, man. And they're going to need billions of dollars in sidewalk road construction. I always talk about the great roads we have here in Vegas. You know, you drive on the 215, they're expanding it and adding lanes for no reason. We don't need to expand from 4 to 6 lanes. They're doing it. And they're brand new roads, and everything is unbelievable as you take a look at that. Everything is amazing. But when it comes to Houston, Houston is going to have to, in years to come, spend billions of dollars. You know, when you go under a bridge and you look under a bridge when you're driving before you get on an overpass and you see like a decaying bridge? I saw like 40 of those when I was there. So Houston's nice. I'm more of a New Orleans guy. If I had a rank, here's how I say my Texas cities. Number 1, Austin, Texas. It's freaky, it's music, it's fun. Number 2, one of my favorite cities in America, San Antonio. Oh my God, the Riverwalk, the Menger Bar at the Menger Hotel where Teddy Roosevelt formed the Rough Riders in the bar, and Babe Ruth drank at the bar. The Menger Hotel, San Antonio, number 2. Number 3, Dallas. Had some good times in Dallas. Really good times in Dallas. And then I'll get to Houston after that. I don't know smaller towns in Texas well, but I was happy to come home last night. We had a good time there, but I was happy to get home to my wife, who actually, I walked in the house at 2:15 in the morning, and my wife was getting up at 5:30 in the morning to go back and see her parents. You know, my parents are in New York and Florida. Her parents, my in-laws, are in Lincoln, Illinois. That is the first ever town named after Abraham Lincoln when he was alive. Fun fact, because we have Lincoln, Nebraska. We have all these Lincoln in America here, but that was after Lincoln was dead. This is the town. This is the town where Abraham Lincoln was a surveyor. Right there. So she's going back there for a couple of days to check in on her folks and have a good time back there. I want to give Aiden O'Connell some flowers right now and tell you about last night. So when the Raiders were down 17-0 and things weren't going well, and I was with Jason Horowitz and Kirk Morrison in the booth behind them as they were, calling the game, it looked ugly. I mean, it was pretty ugly at that one point in time, and it did cross my mind. It did cross my mind. Holy crap, what's it gonna be like on the radio Friday when I get back to Vegas? Is everybody gonna be sky is falling? Oh my God, the Raiders got blown out. Because when they were down 17-0 after the pick six, CJ Stroud started off the game and scored, and then the pick six. Oh, believe me, that was looking like blowout city. I'm talking 30-6 type of thing. And you would not have reacted well if that happened, period, for Raider Nation. So in the fourth quarter, with about 7 minutes to go, I went to the press box and said goodbye to John McClain, the general, John McClain. Wow, what a legend. He came on the pregame show with us, with the great Matt Millen. And I grabbed my backpack, and I was going down to the Raider locker room, and the game was pretty much over. I've done this a bunch. The game was kind of over. But the Raiders put on a fight in the second half, and they were really, really vocal on the sideline. They weren't checked out. The number 2s and 3s were playing for their lives. There was a significant injury. There was a lot going on. You could tell that the Raiders were locked in. So I get off the elevator, and I grab my luggage out of the Raiders locker room, and I take it outside the locker room. And I'm watching the game on these big TV monitors in the bowels of the stadium. And then all of a sudden, the Raiders get the ball on their own 2-yard line, and Aiden O'Connell starts that march. Check down, completion, check down, completion out of bounds. The Raiders are marching down the field, and I'm sitting there doing the math like everybody looking at the scoreboard. I'm like, oh, my God, they could win this thing. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And you saw the composure on the sideline of the Raiders, and especially Aiden O'Connell, when he had to spike the ball, when he had to get him back there. All the players, and these are some players who are not going to make the team. These are some players who are going to be practice squad guys. They knew it was a fire drill. Get back to the huddle, get out of bounds. Obviously, the pass down to the goal line was fantastic, and then Aiden pounds it in for the game-winning touchdown. And everybody that I was with, which was only a small amount of people, 4 or 5 guys who were doing the tech for that, they were jumping up and down. And I said, wow, this is exciting. They just ended up winning this game. So if you follow me on Instagram at JT the Brick LV, I put the video also on X at JT the Brick. When the Raiders came off the field, because after the game, it takes about 5-10 minutes to get off the field. You're talking to players of the other team. There's handshakes and all that. All of a sudden, I'm videotaping the players coming to the locker room, and they were euphoric. They were happy. They were excited. They were into it. And that was great. It was unbelievable. That's what you expect. You want to win the game. You play to win the game. You don't play to lose the game. And if the Raiders would have lost and they didn't score that final touchdown, they would have lost the game, which means Klint Kubiak would have not won an NFL game as a head coach, preseason game, albeit. So Klint Kubiak's there hugging everybody that's coming behind him. John Spytek, high fives as he walks into the locker room. Max Crosby, I'll get to Max in a second, screaming. Yeah, excited. And then Aiden O'Connell turned the corner, and Aiden came in. And you can see in the video, if you check that out on the other platforms, Klint Kubiak hugged Aiden O'Connell. They went into the locker room. Coach Kubiak gave his first victory speech as a head coach. Remember that. Klint Kubiak's dad, Gary Kubiak, coached there. He grew up and spent years there. That meant a lot to coach, to win. Then the locker room doors opened, and Klint Kubiak went into the press conference and spoke. And when he came out, he gave me a fist bump. He shook hands with Kirk Morrison and Jason Horowitz. Will Kiss, the head of our media, was really excited. And I just want to share with everybody, because I saw that with my own two eyes. The Raiders really wanted to win that game. I've been doing this a long time. It's a preseason game. I'm not making it out to be a regular season game, a playoff game, or a Super Bowl. You know me better than that. But they needed to win that game for the culture of this team to feel a victory, to have a game-winning drive that went 98 yards. And take it from me, Aiden O'Connell made good money last night. Oh, yeah. Aiden O'Connell made money last night because this is Fernando Mendoza's team from here on out at some point. And Aiden O'Connell probably will play somewhere else. Hopefully not this year, but he could if a quarterback gets hurt. Aiden O'Connell made money last night. So when everybody's showering and the locker room's open and I'm waiting outside afterwards, there's two pretty cool stories I wanted to share with you. Number one, Aiden comes out. I go, Aiden, great win. He's like, thanks, JT. It's really nice when people know your name. 90% of these guys never met me. They don't know me. They've never listened to radio. They don't know my name. Aiden does, and I congratulated him. I was really happy for Aiden. He's such a good guy. I've done chalk talks with him. I know him a little bit, and I really like the guy. He's a great guy, Aiden O'Connell. And a lot of Raider fans love him too. But I'm outside, and Max Crosby comes up to me, and he starts shaking his head and laughing at me, and I know what he's going to be talking about. I put out a video from Houston on James Harden robbing a bank and getting $97 million. $97 million. I'm not a fan of Harden. One of Max Crosby's best friends in sports is James Harden. I mean, he loves James Harden. I'm not talking about admiring James Harden. He does. He's friends with James Harden. And my son gave me the heads up on this because when I put out the video on Instagram about James Harden, Max commented on it. So I knew Max was coming to me to talk about James Harden. And he's like, come on, dude, what's going on? And I said, hey, Max, it's about Harden never wanting to be a Knick. And, you know, Max, he's laughing at me. He goes, are you bleeping out of your mind? And I go, no, I'm serious. When James Harden had multiple opportunities, remember Oklahoma City, Houston, the Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia, who am I forgetting? Cleveland now. All those opportunities, he could have came to the Knicks. We had one in 53 years, Max. And he wanted nothing to do with my Knicks. And then Max looks at me and he goes, really? That's what this is about? And I go, yeah. But I go, I know he's your friend and I'll lay off. And he goes, no, man. I love everything what you're about, what you do, don't. That's what you do if you're going to do it. But I said, no, I'm happy we talked about this and you got it off of your chest. So a little James Harden talk outside the Raiders locker room. But back to the coach. Coach Kubiak wanted to win. And please understand, if you're a diehard football fan like I am, you don't take the preseason that seriously, wins and losses. And if the Raiders would have lost, there were three things that could have happened last night. Three. Number one, the Raiders get blown out. I said 30-6. It could have been 34-14. Dominated. That changes everything on Friday. Number two, the Raiders don't score on that game-winning drive, but they put together a pretty good second half. They had a couple of, Dylan Lobby touchdown, a couple of good throws. Fernando makes a couple of good throws. All that's cool. So that's cool. But they lose. And Raider fans, some of them are going to make me pay for the loss. That's okay. And then number three, they came back and had a memorable win. Everyone on that team will remember that victory because it was special. It was a hell of a victory. I mean, I don't remember a time where I was at a Raider game where they were down 14-0 on a pick six and an opening drive score from the other team. I'm sure it's happened, but I don't remember it. And it looked like it was going to go sideways off the rails, and it didn't. And Klint Kubiak talked about it, and he was pretty happy about the victory there. And it meant something to him. And I hope everybody understands that. So I'm not saying everybody go out and pop a bunch of Modelo's. Modelo Friday is always a good time to pop a few Modelo's and celebrate a preseason win. But what I'm telling everyone is enjoy the victories, even if it's in the preseason. Enjoy life. Enjoy victories. Enjoy camaraderie with your teammates. Enjoy the coach smiling and happy on the team flight. It wasn't good. That wasn't a great game for the Raiders who played in the first half. It wasn't. But at least there was something positive to build on. I've been with Raider teams that went undefeated in the preseason and lost every game. What matters is what happens with the Dolphins coming up week 1 at the home opener. But Aiden O'Connell, great job. He deserves a lot of respect today. Hell of a play to go the length of the field. He carved up Houston's defense. And yeah, a lot of those guys he carved up will not make the Houston Texans roster. But they might play for another team, and they're going to remember Aiden O'Connell and that performance there. All right, that's brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. If you get into an accident and are injured, the brothers win. Brotherswin.com, the DeCastroverde Law Group, Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde, two great men building their firm off the legacy of their father, who initially built the firm, and will do everything they possibly can to help you if you need great legal services. All right, more on the Fernando reaction and what people are saying around the national media when we continue on the flagship of the Silver and Black. This is Raider Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Welcome back, everybody. JT along with the great Clay Baker as we wrap up our Modelo Friday here on the flagship of the Silver and Black, coming off the Houston week, and a lot of good content today. Appreciate everybody. Q's coming up next. I'm sure Q is just as tired as me. I don't even know what Q's plan is. I should, but he was doing the post-game show last night from NRG Stadium, and he grinded and did a lot out in Houston, and very fortunate for the work he does and getting us set up here. So that is coming. Should be a good weekend. Remember this big draft event, fantasy football draft event. We had a guest on earlier this week, Ian Ritchie. They got a massive event at Circa Saturday night. Massive. I know some people are going to go to Guns N' Roses. I'll pass. I know some people are going. I saw Guns N' Roses open up for the Rolling Stones. I'm good. I've seen Guns N' Roses 15 times, and if you're going, have a great time. I'm focused on my Rush concerts, plural, and the Foo Fighters. I'm a big Foo Fighters guy live. I think the Foo Fighters live are fantastic, and they're coming to Allegiant Stadium, which I'm really excited about. But back to that event at Circa, that is Saturday night. If you're wearing Raider gear, from what I've heard, because the Black Hole is involved with it at a big level, if you wear Raider gear, you get into this 3-hour open bar. Look, I've been to a lot of open bars longer than you have. I was going to open bars in high school when they were around in my hometown. An open bar to me means an open bar. You want a beverage, you go to the bar, you get one. It's open, it's free. But remember Vegas's number one rule. What, JT? What's Vegas's number one rule? Whenever you get something for free, you have to tip. You got to tip. I don't care. You go to a dinner, you go to a restaurant, the owner comes out, oh, that was beautiful, it's on me. Thank you. It was a $300 dinner. You got to tip on the $300. Maybe even more because they comped you for it. So if you have an open bar coming up at Circa, man, have a lot of fun with that. That's going to be outstanding. I'm actually going to pop by that for a little bit, but I got a busy weekend, a real busy weekend, going to a 50th birthday party tonight. You know, I had my 60th. This is a 50th of one of my best friend's wives, so that's going to be epic tonight. Really big party. Looking forward to that. And then on Saturday, this event at Circa. Sunday, I'll be on Mad Dog Sports Radio. So there's a lot going on here. We're going to be really busy. We got a lot of exciting things happening here. And as I always do on Friday, I'd like to thank our proud partners. If you'd let us do that for a moment and then get everybody ready for next week. The big update for next week is Alumni Weekend. So that's one of my favorite events going back to my time with the Raiders. Al Davis, Mrs. Davis, we always bring up Carol Davis, and Mark Davis do a tremendous amount for the alumni. So no other team that I know in professional sports, not saying other teams don't bring back alumni, they do, not like the Raiders. Reportedly 300 alumni will be at the game next Thursday night in the Winfield Club. So they'll be there in the Winfield Club, and they are allowed to bring a guest. So think of that as the Raiders are flying out these individuals, putting them up in a hotel, feeding them, bringing them to sporting events like the Aces, welcoming parties, and putting them on the field at the Winfield Club. Again, if you know another owner in sports that does that, let me know because you don't. That's one of the many things that Mark Davis does, so we appreciate that. Let's thank the Black Hole. They're counting down to their big party, which is opening weekend at Palms, which is going to be Too Short and Warren G. You got to go to thebblackhole.com. Please become a member. It's a lifetime membership. I was talking to Mark Jones, and Mark Jones says that every day, kind of like me building my YouTube channel, some days I get 2 people to subscribe. I'm like, why didn't like 400 people subscribe? That was pretty good stuff I did today. No, it's slow. It takes one at a time. Mark told me people are signing up for lifetime memberships daily. Go to thebblackhole.com. Boyd Gaming, always bet on black, the local casino partner of the Silver and Black. This is a Modelo Friday, thanks to Steve Gomez, the entire team at Modelo, the Castroverde Law Group, Brothers Win, brotherswin.com, Finley Volvo Cars of Vegas, my car dealership. Hey, you're on the 215, you see UFC. Directly across the street from UFC over the freeway is Finley Volvo Cars and Mike. Go in there and test drive one of their unbelievable Volvos. Flowing Tides Pub. Danny and Flowing Tides are amazing. What they do, their menu is stunning. If you like to watch college football, we are trying to direct everybody to go to Flowing Tide Pub and go watch college football, let alone Sunday. They do an unbelievable job. We want to thank our great friends at Remy Martin, the entire team, Stephen Brody, Tori, the whole team. Remy Martin is one of the greatest brands in the history of spirits and what they do. You cannot make a margarita without Cointreau. That's our Remy Martin connection. Make a margarita with them. We want to thank the official vodka of the Raiders. Say it with me, Aspen Vodka. Official vodka of the Raiders. You'll see it all over Allegiant Stadium now. And the official vodka of the Yankees, along with Fletcher Azul Tequila. Thanks to their entire team, Garrett. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's a big partner in that, too. Have a beautiful tequila cocktail with Fletcher Azul. M-Ride. The way my wife goes to the game. M-Ride it. Go to mride.com. Don't deal with a lot of ride shares. Hey, man, there's a lot going on, a lot of stadium news. You want to M-Ride it to the game. My personal jeweler is Michael E. Minden. You need to buy your partner, your wife, your mom, your daughter a graduation present, or they're back to school. Go get a piece of jewelry there, a beautiful piece from Michael E. Minden. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love. Man, maybe when the show wraps up, I'll see Raising Cane's right at my kitchen. I'm a Caniac, thanks to Raising Cane's. I want to thank Roger and Steiner's, a Nevada-style pub, one of the best menus I've ever seen in Vegas. There's 5-star restaurants here. There's Michelin restaurants. Go try the food at Steiner's. You'll thank me for all of that. And everybody else, that's pretty much all of them. That's pretty impressive, man, the group of people that we have here that help us build the show. That help us build the show and do a really nice job. Thanks to all of our proud partners. And most importantly, thanks to Clay Baker, who puts this show together. And I always appreciate what he does. And he has a big show in the morning drive with Vinny Bonsignor and Vince Sapienza. I know Vince just had a birthday. It showed up on my Facebook feed. So that's where we're at heading into the weekend. I hope you and your family have a great weekend here. Let me get a weather report here quickly before Q comes on, because it was sticky, hot, and humid in Houston. So the high today will be 104. We got a 105 on Sunday. Maybe the worst of the August heat is behind us. Hopefully I didn't jinx that and we don't get any more 110s or 115s coming up there, and it'll be great. If you're going to Guns N' Roses tonight, you know where you are. You're in the jungle, baby. Slash, quick story. When I was a basketball coach in Sherman Oaks, California, and my son was 5 years old, I got the roster of the team, and we had our first practice. And I'm sitting in practice, and I look up, and one of the dads who drops off his kid, Slash. That's how far I go back with Slash. I coached his son, London, at 5 years old, 6 years old in youth basketball. And London, Slash's son, is now a rock star. And Slash is in town, so have a good time if you're going to Guns N' Roses. That's it for me, everybody. If you miss any portion of the show, it's at LV Sports Network. Thanks for our YouTube subscribers. My son's done a great job behind the scenes, and we have more great opportunities for you to become a member on my YouTube channel. Go to subscribe, and you'll see all the options there that are coming up. And I'll see you back here on Monday when we kick off our coverage of the Niners coming to town at Allegiant Stadium. This is Raider Nation Radio, the flagship of the Silver and Black.